Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at WARCRY, TOME of Champions 2021, only slightly into 2022. So War Age of Sigmar WARCRY, of course, is the tabletop skirmish game played on a 22 by 30-inch board at a skirmish scale using pretty much all of the different factions in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They released individual tomes where you could use pretty much all your models in a micro skirmish, where you had like individual action economy and a fairly original combat system for Games Workshop. And for the last 2 years, it's been a bit slept on. It had lots of fun stuff come out in 2019. Of course, 2020, a non-solo two-player sort of like skirmish game, even though it was kitchen table and probably got played at home quite a bit, didn't get quite as much attention as other games did during the pandemic. So it got slept on a little, had a starter set in 2021 with these new Spider-Mans and the Gladiators coming out, but now here we have the 2021 expansion for TOME of Champions in 2022. So a bit delayed, but here it is today. And big thanks to Games Workshop for sending along a complimentary review copy for you guys to check out. So what's in here? Well, it's kind of all killer, no filler. It jumps right to the point. We got some rules updates, new point values for the entire game for 2021-2022. Now, obviously, if you're not playing this game competitively, you probably don't care. Everything you have already, you could just use, but they are updating the balance of the game by increasing, decreasing, and modifying point values. A little bit of stuff for open play, just kind of the throw together the game and play stuff. Whole lot of stuff for narrative play, including a very cool Ulfenkern quest, where you get to use the stuff from Curse City, and a very cool solo rat killing campaign that I'm going to try and play through, where you can take a specialized warband to go and stomp some rats, endless hordes of rats, including solo play rules. I do wish this had come out during, you know, like we're pretty much in the process of reopening here in Canada, so I'm gonna play through it. It's gonna be fun, but it's not something that is timed a little bit late, basically, for lockdown solo play stuff. But I'm glad it's in here. Then a whole bunch of stuff for match play, including the pitch battle, 6 scenarios for the 2021-2022 tournament season for this. Hopefully we will get to see some competitive play for WARCRY played at some point. 4 new factions, the Lumineth Realm Lords, Soulblight Grave Lords, sorry, Lumineth Realm Lords, not Grave Lords, the Soulblight Grave Lords, the Thunderstrike Stormcast, and the Cruel Boys as factions, and then everything. When it says Bladeborn Fighters, Bladeborn was a almost a micro skirmish version of this game, so a hex-based board game kind of driven version of WARCRY that is played using all of the Warhammer Underworlds warbands. So this is rules for literally every single warband from Underworlds to play as sort of like almost like mercenaries. They can get hired to different factions in Age of Sigmar, sorry, in WARCRY. So what do we got? Well, Wrath and Ruin, the cool new box set. You get your Spider Chaos Bros and your Gladiator Chaos Bros. And of course, here we have the 4 different tomes. These came out last year that had every single Grand Alliance in them. And that gives a rules update for Grand Alliances. And that gives you 4 new Runemarks that are effectively branching between the different major alliances in the game. You get Destruction, Death, Chaos, and Order. And Order is subdivided into Cities of Sigmar and all of the not Cities of Sigmar stuff. So Anvil Guard, Greywater Fastness, Hallowheart, Hammerhall, the Phoenician, the Living City. And these mostly apply to the Underworld stuff, the stuff that comes in later on. And then all of the other Order stuff is things like the Seraphon, Silvernet, the Thunderstrike Stormcast. And what this does is basically says, if you're in a Grand Alliance, well, that allows you to bring in certain things. Updates the campaign rules, so how much glory you get for playing the game, reinforcement rules, and then of course lesser artifacts become free actions. And that's actually really cool in a campaign. Doesn't apply to match play at all, but only in campaigns. Your consumables can be used as free actions because they were a bit hard to use. Tons of point value updates for literally every model in the game, except for the new ones. And that eats up a whole bunch of the book. And then into open play, just one little scenario here, the Coalition of Death Siege Battles. It's a, you know, like a sort of like a multiplayer kind of big size game. And the idea here is to use thousands of points for this stuff on 2 WARCRY boards to do like a siege battle. It kind of reminds me of doing Siege of the Lord of the Rings. It would take a long time to play a 3,000 point or 4,000 point a side siege game in WARCRY. But if you got a weekend, you want to do some big fun multiplayer game, definitely cool to do. Branching quests. So these are basically like tree campaigns, and they give a bunch for each of the Grand Alliances. The idea here is if you're playing a Grand Alliance, you can have your narrative based around what you're currently doing, and then all of the win conditions branch into new quests. So you have multiple quests to play, multiple artifacts of power and command traits you can find, and then it's one for each Grand Alliance. And then you get some sort of like more bespoke ones, which are about like special things like the convergences for death, order, destruction, and the special like hidden at the back here, honors and spells of victory and stuff that you get for winning through them. And the narrative campaigns. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in here. These are designed to kind of be like almost like league games where you're playing like in a store and you're playing the branching campaigns with like a bunch of people. These are actually designed for different amounts of people and are like driven around a specific story. So Purge of Anvil, it's all about a Lord Veritant, the Anvils of Heldenhammer, going after the Black Scale Coil. So you have to actually use the armies that are in here. So you're trying to fight Daughters of Cain against some Stormcast Eternals. Then this next one, Forlorn Hope, is about Lumineth Realm Lords facing off against the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, the Depths of Solontium, it's Demons of Chaos, under the banner of Bellicor, and the other is the Emerald Host of the Night Haunts. You have the Death against Chaos. Rat Hunters, this is the solo campaign. It's 2 or more players, but you can play it solo, and you use any campaign or any sort of like warband you want. You've been hired basically to go and clear out rats. So you have to build a collection of Skaven. Unfortunately, you have to get the rules from, if you don't have the Skaven Warband rules, you need to go get the Chaos Battle Team to do it, but you can play against like an unending horde of rats basically, and you hunt down their leaders. And then you get the Fool's Trove and Elfenkarn, where you go after the Van Silveren estate, and you're fighting against the vampires and all the models from Cursed City. So again, you want to copy a Cursed City, you have to have bought the Radica's Court expansion to get the models for that. And then War of the Morak Hills, where you're following the events in the War of the Amberstone Watch against Thunderstrike and Cruel Boys. So this one's cool if you have any of the new starter sets for 3rd edition Age of Sigmar. And you get all the special rules for all the special models. So like you have Thalos the Cruel, a Dark Elf. You have the Lid of Eltharion and the Forlorn Hope that gets to play against. And the Nightmare Predator actually gets rules, which I think is super cool. The Ossiarch Bone Reaper's Predatory Endless spell. And then Archon the Black, it's like the big bad guy in this one. Depths of Solontium. And the Emerald Host fight against Chaos Demons. And then the Vermin Tides. You actually get like rules for the solo play. And then 4 special scenarios that you play through to try and win. Fools and Trove and Elfenkarn. You have stats for all the stuff in Cursed City, which is really nice. And then you final showdown in the Crypt of Van Silveren. And the War of the Morak Hills, where you get the Cruel Boys against the Stormcast. And then match play, so you get actual tournament rules. This is neat. Basically, all you're going to do is flip a card for the battlefield layout when you play in these. So if you're playing a tournament, let's say, there's actually rules on the next page for like a campaign weekend almost, and you get honors as you win games. The setup is these 6 scenarios: so Nexus of Power, Scour, Trophy Kills, Fleeting Glory, Forsaken Orrery, and Hidden Treasures. And you D6 to see what usually, I imagine in an event what would happen is you'd all flip your own terrain layouts, and then the tournament organizer would D6 to see what mission everybody's playing. And it has your layouts for everything for your twist. It has your victory, your twist, and then your deployments and stuff as well. The Fel Nyroth tournament. So this is like an actual like laid out process for doing like an event. It'll be a complete warband roster and a warband currently embarked on a campaign quest. Any warband currently embarked upon a campaign quest can take part in the tournament. To run the tournament, you'll need an even number of players, and each player will need the following: a warband currently embarked on a campaign quest and a completed warband roster. Once you've found enough players, you need to agree on a date and time. And then playing through the tournament, it's comprised of 3 rounds. In each round, the warbands will fight a particular battle against other warbands. And the battles in the tournament are treated as campaign battles. This means players must muster their warband from fighters on their warband roster. It also means that after each battle in the aftermath sequence, players will earn glory points, fighters will earn destiny levels, and perhaps suffer injuries, and search rolls will be made on lesser artifact tables. Veteran warbands will have fighters that have greater destiny levels, bear artifacts, or have command traits. If you're worried about these having an advantage, you decide that the only campaign benefit earned during the tournament can be used, with those already on the warband roster suspended until the end of the tournament. So I think that's cool. It's match play, but you're still using the campaign rules over the course of the weekend. That's badass. Like, it's not just win, lose, draw. You get stuff. And then tournament special rules: smash and grab. Players can never muster warband more than 1,000 points. In addition, players cannot spend glory points on reinforcements. No progress. The aftermath sequence is completed as normal after each battle, except the warbands not advance on the campaign progress tracker, so like you don't go forward in the story ever. And then Treasures of the Necropolis. After the 3 rounds have been played, the tournament ends. Each player reveals the number of tournament points they've gained, and the player with the most is declared the winner. If any players are tied for the most tournament points, then the players roll off to determine the winner. It's kind of crazy. I don't even play again. Then all players receive one of the following artifacts of power based on the number of tournament points they earn. So basically how well you do, your campaign roster gets like a cool extra thing, artifact of power from here. And then you get your round 1, round 2, round 3 special like scenarios. So you can play pitch battle and just do like these, like do the pitch battle like missions. Or if you play through this, the Fel Nyroth tournament, you get to use these 3 missions that you play through in order, and you get to win these artifacts of power. So 2 different ways of running a tournament. I like the pitch battle ones because it's just like a clean win-lose draw system. But I also like the idea of a campaign weekend in here with like rules for playing it. And also get hidden agendas during it. And then the appendix, and what this is it's your Lumineth Realm Lords, all their special rules, and you get a ton of models available here. Pretty much every Lumineth model, from the Venari Lord Regent and the Lore Seeker, the Cathlor and Caligrave, the Stone Mage and Wind Mage, and then all of your infantry and cavalry units as well are available as models to recruit. Get all the backgrounds and stuff. Same with the Soul Blights. You can have a Vampire Lord, a Necromancer, and a White King on a Spectral Steed, a Vargoyle, or a Castellan, and then you have access to the Vargskier, the Virkos Bloodborne, Kasagi Night Guards, Vargeists. I'm excited that I can just use all my collection of stuff from Curse City basically as a warband. Graveguards, Seneschals, Black Knights, Hell Knights, Skeleton Champions, zombies, like the whole 9 yards. And then your Thunderstrike Stormcast, it's basically everything from the box set plus all the new stuff. So Lord Impuritant, the Knight Arcanum, you can recruit them in. I like the Lord Impuritant, only 210 points. He's actually not that much more expensive than a normal guy. A Annihilator with a Grand Hammer is 225. But you can take everything. Vigilors, Vanquishers, Annihilators, Praetors, Gryph-hounds. They're all available for hire basically as the Thunderstrike Stormcast. And same with the Cruel Boys. You get a kill boss on a Great Gnash Tooth if you want. Murknaw with Belchabana, you know, Hobgrots, Manskewer Bolt Boys, Gut Rippers, everything. Stabgrots and Potgrots can get hired. They're actually individual models in this, which I think is super cool. And then it's Bladeboard Fighters, and it's a rule for every warband. So Daughters of Cain, Fireslayers, Idoneth, Caradron Overlords, Lumineth, Seraphon, all the new Stormcast warbands. So like everything from the Farstriders and Steelhearts to Stormsire. The Sylvaneth, so you get the Skaithspelled Hunt and the Guardians. Beasts of Chaos, you get Grashrex Despoilers. You get Magor's Fiends and Garruk's Reavers, like all the OG teams. Eyes of the Nine and the Wormspot. And the rules for hiring these in, basically, they're interesting. So, let's go down to here. So Bladeborn Fighters, Faction Runemarks. So they all have a faction runemark based upon who they are that matches either Order, Destruction, Chaos, or Death. And they have their own key like war marks in there as well. So, for example, the fighters from Kagra's Ravagers and the Godsworn Hunter are all Slaves of Darkness, and thus belong to Slaves of Darkness. In addition to a faction runemark, each of the fighters in that book has a Bladeborn runemark, see opposite, which matches their team. Abilities. Alongside the fighter cards in a section, you also find tables with unique abilities that only they can do. They have to have their faction key mark to do them. And including them in your army. Open and match play. In open play and match play, when picking your warband, you can include any Bladeborn fighters with the same faction remark as the ones you've chosen for your warband. You cannot include the same type of Bladeborn fighter more than once. You can pick a Bladeborn fighter with the leader remark to be your leader. In narrative play, you can add Bladeborn fighters to your warband as long as they belong to the same faction as your warband. And basically, you've got like all of these marks basically, but you don't make injury rolls for them. Don't make destiny rolls for them. They can't gain destiny levels, and they cannot bear artifacts of power, but can be given command traits. And you can take them as allies in open and match play. Bladeborn fighters with a leader rune mark can be included in your warband as normal. In narrative play, Bladeborn fighters with leader rune mark can be added to your warband as an ally as normal, but they are subject to the rules affecting Aftermath sequence. You can include a Bladeborn fighter with a leader rune mark as an ally in your warband. Any other fighters that share that Bladeborn rune mark can also be included as allies. So basically, if you bring in the allied leader of a faction, then the rest of the warband can come too. And what that means is you guys are basically mercenaries, right? So you can use them in your faction if you want, and they'll share a key mark with you. And that's why they've added these up here, which is the Grand Alliances. Everybody gains the rune mark of their Grand Alliance now based upon where they sit and that lets these guys now get hired in. So you've got Order, Sea of Sigmar, right? But like all the Sea of Sigmar also have the Order Runemark. And in this section, you'll find comprehensive diagrams detailing which faction Runemarks belong to which Grand Alliance. Each Grand Alliance also has its own Runemark. When a rule refers to one of the Grand Alliances, or has the Grand Alliance Runemark, that rule applies to all and any warbands with that faction Runemark. And so that means that, let's take a look at the faction Runemarks for instance for, where's the Living City? Living City is this. It's not the same faction key mark as, where are you? Ilthari's Guardians, right? Or Skaith's Wild Hunt. But it is the same as the Order key thing, and then that means that they have the same faction. And so there you go. And you've literally got new rules for all these guys to get used as mercenaries, which I think is great because like these models are fantastic. They needed more things to play in. And like opening up to Warcry just means you have more use for your same miniatures. The more times you can use your same miniatures in other games, like I love the fact these all exist in Age of Sigmar. They're not great in Age of Sigmar though because they're these little like bespoke mercenary units. Whereas taking them in a game like Warcry, they're actually going to feel like impressive and cool. So you get Morgoth's Crushes, Iron Skull Boys, yeah. My Maw tribes can take Rothgor's Man-Trappers, or Headwrecker's Mad Mob, sorry. And that's it. You've got your update for 2021, 2022. So again, a bit late at the gate just because of like everything getting delayed right now for books. But like, it's just all rules. The whole thing is rules content. There's not a lot of wasted space here on big pretty pictures or like new background and story for the game. This is just, it's point updates, tons of new narrative stuff, tons of new like quests to go on, a whole new like bespoke campaign weekend and tournament rules for the pitch battles, and then just like rules for models, tons of new rules for models that you can include in your armies, so, or in your warbands, sorry. So I would say as far as the Tome of Champions goes, this is pretty much the most comprehensive one. It kind of hits all the notes of both ways to play. A little light on open play stuff, but again, if you're playing open play, it's kind of just the same thing as playing narrative play. But the big multiplayer like Siege game I think is kind of neat, and it would be a cool like campaign weekend or store event or something you could do. I am pumped about all the Warcry stuff, all the Underworld stuff being in Warcry now. And I'll get to use like Rothgorn and stuff like that in my Ogre Kingdoms tribe. And yeah, and I'm hopefully going to play more of this soon. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews in the future. You can check out my review of the In the Footsteps of the Mad Wizard, which is a new expansion for Forbidden Psalm. It's out today as well. And you can see what's on the paint table. So big thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Till then, Ash. Have a good day. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My two kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Desperate Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.